Hello, everybody. Welcome. Now, before starting this session, we'd like to ask you a question. In the second session of the day, we're going to start with the question, what is the first thing that we need to ensure gender equality? Write your answers in the chat box. And for the first presentation of the second session of the day, I would like to invite Nebile Bayrak from the Prosumer Economy Association. Hello, I'm going to be sharing my screen. Can you see the presentation at the moment? Great. Hello, everybody. My name is Nebile Bayrak. I am the Kadim project coordinator. I would like to again thank the Hrant Dink Foundation for supporting this project and supporting us, especially in such a difficult period as the COVID-19 pandemic is going on, with the uncertainty that it brings, with the depression it brings. Thank you very much to the project team that has been the utmost supportive. So this project that we shorten like Kadim is the Women Economy Against Climate Change. And we tackle climate change through ecological solution methods, so ecological production methods. We believe that a sustainable ecosystem can be created with the participation of women, like a forest that is always productive. Obviously, climate change is a global problem, but we can see that its impacts can be varied based on different generations, economic conditions, age, and gender. And also because of the differences in property rights, in access to information, cultural, social, and economic differences, women and men have different experiences in terms of climate change. If we are to talk about social justice, it is not possible to talk about an environment where we don't have women. That is why the main aim of our project is to render more visible the women and also enable them to sustain their existence in the social sphere. Obviously, our aim is not to place an undue burden of saving the whole world on women, but rather render visible the currently invisible efforts of women and make politicians and decision makers to take into consideration women as well as a political subject. Our first project activity was to create a network of solidarity. 26 women's networks, women's organizations became part of our network. And in the project, we frequently get together with women's organizations. We want to do these activities face-to-face, but obviously, because of the pandemic, we couldn't do that. We get together with them on an online platform. And also we work with Önemsiyoruz social cooperative as well. They help us create sustainable methods and also help us with the development of business models. One of the aims of our project is to support women communities economically. When we say that, one of the common problems to each women's community is not to get their fair share in exchange for their efforts. Rather, the intermediaries gain benefits, but not the producers. The Prosumer Economy Association is working with Good for Trust. Good for Trust is working with ecologically responsible, ecologically fair producers and brings together prosumers. It is based on goodwill and trust. It is not simply an online sale platform. It is also a solidarity network that brings together prosumer and producer. We introduce Good for Trust to the women's communities that we work with and enable their participation there. And we have strived to provide economic support to them in this way, and we're still trying to do it. We had a documentary as well. That was maybe the only face-to-face activity, as a matter of fact, we could have. In August, when the pandemic was a bit down, and we waited for that period, as a matter of fact, when the case numbers went down a little bit, we got together with 10 women's organizations for this documentary. And we got together with those women's organizations that really stood firm against climate crisis. We tried to support them and also render them more visible and get their voices heard. We did the documentary because of that. And as Sevinç, the women that you can see in the documentary, says their last priority is actually economy. They first want to be appreciated because they're really trying hard to create a better world, and they just want to be appreciated first of all. And we have to know what they're doing. As a matter of fact, we don't know what the producers are doing. We just go to the market and buy our products, and we don't actually see what the producer is going through. And especially if you're engaged in environmental friendly production methods and sustainable production methods, we don't really see that. Therefore, we hope that through this documentary film, we're going to create more awareness. We have finished the shooting. The editing has been completed as well. We're going to have a workshop next month. And there we're going to show the film for the first time. Another part of our activity is to create a research report. We have had in-depth interviews with the women's organizations that are part of our network. And also we have conducted a literature review as well and received the input of the experts too. And we have checked the national practices as well as international practices. We are preparing this research report at the moment. All of our outputs are going to be published on our website as well. The research report is going to be completed next month. We also have a fair and good practices guideline. We talk about the practices of the women's organizations that are part of our network, and also we have received good practice examples from other experts as well. And we want this to be a guide for the newly forming organizations. We also have the Kadim Conversations online series. We get together with experts in areas that women need more support. And this is an online activity, as I have said. We also have the Kadim Practices online series because we would like to disseminate good practices as well. And this is one of the steps that we're taking under the project too. For example, for everyone, waste oil is a very big problem for all of us. And the municipalities don't really collect it. And we don't have very good practices about that. And it also has a very high pollution potential. So we have a producer, for example, who's turning waste oil into soft soap, Merve. So Merve has conducted a workshop for us about that. And also, we have as you know, the very simple Bokashi compost method where everyone living in cities can turn their organic waste into composts. And we have had a workshop about this as well. We also have what we call Kadim Dictionary, and we share the very important concepts, the concepts that we deem very important in this dictionary as well. You can see our website here as well, kadim.org. All of our outputs are going to be there, so please visit our website. You can see what kind of organizations we're working with at the moment, what kind of activities we're doing under the project. So please go and visit that website as well. And our social media account name is Kadın ve İklim, Women and Climate. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, Nebile. Now we have Yüksekova Social Impact and Culture Association, and we have Esengül from that organization. Please go on. Hello, everybody. I am here representing the Yüksekova Social Impact and Culture Association. First of all, thank you to the Hrant Dink Foundation, who's enabled us to be on the ground for 15 months, and also to the Tamar Association. It has been a pleasure working with you. Could you come closer to the computer maybe, because we have difficulty hearing you. Yüksekova Social Impact and Culture Association was established in 2018 with the motto, if women develop, then society develops. After we have founded the association with our own efforts and with the support of our friends, we have engaged in certain activities. While setting out, we detected the following needs. The only value for women and children in Yüksekova was the feudal culture and traditions. Generally, under the norms that are put on by the families, children would be married at, or women would be married at a very early age, and they couldn't get, access education rights. So sorry, but do you have a microphone, or could you come closer to the computer, please? We're checking to see whether you sound better at the moment. Sorry about interrupting you. So the women and children are going to change the project was the first project activity that we did using grant funds. However, this coincided with the COVID-19 crisis, but the pandemic didn't stop us. We worked on each day. There was a curfew. We have found out new working areas and new methodologies for our activities. And sometimes the work that we were going to conduct in one go was divided up into 3 or 4, but we still didn't stop. We went to households as well to visit women. We asked them about the women in the household, their marriage and their children, and we came up with the profiles of the women as well as their needs. And when we talk about household visits, the previous slide, please. Many of the women are actually going to houses in other places during the summer months. So we had to go to those areas as well in order to listen to the women during their household visits. We talked about the norms, the roles that are brought on by the patriarchal society, the negative impacts of violence on children and discrimination. And also we have introduced to the women the public institutions that they can contact if they need. While planning for the project, we had planned to reach 90 women with 6 small group works. But because of the intense demand coming from the women, we had a further 5 tours of small workshops or small group meetings, and we in total reached 172. There are still waiting to be contacted, as a matter of fact. We have had 49. We have had 6 tours of playing together with 49 parents and children, so that children can learn about violence-free engagement methods. And the results, as well as the impact analysis results, have been shared in an online conference with the participation of other CSOs working in the locality on women's rights and children's rights. The activities that have been run under the project, the impact that was generated, the statistics about the women, the feedback of the women, and also the public institutions that women can contact at the time of need were published in a report. Now we would like to share with you some of the important observations and some feedback that we've garnered from the project results. The women who are the target group of this project, 76% of them had not been targeted by another project before. We have asked the question, do you think women are inflicted violence? 68% of the women that we visited answered yes to this question. When we asked them about the types of violence that women were inflicted, one half said physical violence and the other half said verbal violence. But they didn't know that physical violence, in fact, encompasses all different types of violence. %84 of the women interviewed said that women weren't making any efforts to free themselves of violence. And when we asked why, they generally answered, they gave us 2 general answers. One, because they were afraid, and the other, because they resigned themselves to violence and they didn't make any efforts. When we asked them about inheritance rights, more than half of them said that they weren't benefiting from that right. And it was found out that the property in which the family lives, only 9% of the property was owned by women. When we asked them about their own needs, one of them was economic support and the other one was that they wished to learn about their rights. In terms of the feedback, up until now, women said that up until then, they were only brought together to ask for their vote in the election times, and that they were very happy that we got together with them. They also said that after this awareness workshop, I can now talk to my daughter without raising my voice, and I just tell her that I love you, but I don't like this behavior that you have, and we can solve the question. And also one of the spouses or the women who was part of the workshop told us that I don't argue, I don't fight with my spouse anymore because we don't have that kind of environment at home anyway. And I believe that because it is generally men who inflict violence, that kind of workshop or that kind of work should be conducted with men as well. So when we look at the results that we have garnered, although the baseline situation was not very good, the result was good. All of the women said that from then on, they would protect their rights, they would demand their rights, that violence impacted humanity, and that there was no righteous violence, and that they would fight against violence. And in summary, we have taken the first step in terms of creating a system that the people who are aware also make other people aware of these issues as well. Thank you very much for talking to us. Now, the third presentation of the session for Bitlis Women Entrepreneurs Association. Özlem Olgun and Ayşe Topyüz, please.
Can you please unmute yourself? Okay, I think now we can hear you. Hello. Today we will be addressing you on behalf of Bitlis Women Entrepreneurs Association. We will be sharing some information. Our organization was established in 2012 with the aim of supporting women. Well, in our association, we have constant training activities like wood painting, fabric painting, lace making, and some other courses, training courses are provided. And in our new facility, training facility, we are engaged in cooking regional dishes. We want to raise the awareness, economic awareness of every woman, as well as their skills, craft making skills. We will talk about the project that we started in 2019 and which we completed this year in February, which was about empowering women through drama. As you can see in the picture, we are on the stage and all our clothes were stitched by us. Next slide, please. Can we go back to the previous slide? Yes, the clothes you see here are stitched by us. So we've taken measurements, patterns, and without taking any assistance from men at all, we stitched the entire wardrobe of our play. And we also got the chance to socialize. Next slide, please. And here we are seeing a picture of our rehearsals. And here we have a picture from our diction and sound trainings. And we have had some exercises to increase physical awareness through motion and physical activity. Then came the global pandemic. We really had a lot of challenges. As you know, the virus came in and we had to work remotely. We weren't able to go to the association facilities. We had to shoot and reshoot videos, and it was very difficult for us, as you can see. But thank God, our training facility was reopened, and we were able to get back together. Of course, masks, social distancing, and hygiene rules were closely implemented. Next slide, please. Is there a technical problem? Are you not able to change the slide? Okay, here we have some improvising exercises. Again, masks are on. We pay attention to social distancing rules. And in the next slide, you see some exercises from creative writing activities. Most of these women are illiterate, by the way, and we were able to achieve very nice things. Here is a training exercise from our percussion lessons. This was one of our favorite lessons. We really had a lot of fun. And the rest of the presentation will be delivered by my friend Ayşe. Thank you for your attention. First of all, hello everyone. As my friend said at the outset, we stitched all our clothes and costumes thanks to the help of our teacher. So we came up with very nice clothes and costumes. Can we please proceed a little faster with the next slides? Here again, you are seeing a picture of a stitching workshop of the clothes that for which we took the measurements. Here we have, of course, a lot of challenges in terms of women's socializing, especially in the eastern part of the country. We have limited opportunities to get socialized. But then we had our rehearsals and we were on the stage. First, we were reading out the texts during the rehearsals. Then we started to come together and rehearse on the stage. As you know, because of this force majeure that the entire world was going through, we had these challenges, but we were able to succeed in a way. All our activities were carried out by abiding by the rules of social distancing, hygiene, and wearing masks. And we, of course, we're not expecting corona pandemic at all. This came by surprise, but we were aiming to address 100,000 people, but we had to reduce the number. However, the national TV channels, radio channels actually featured us, and the field of art, theater, or drama is very valuable for us women, especially. And we started off with 40 women initially, but by the end we had 700 women joining us. So as the association, all activities, we want to continue them on a sustainable basis. We don't want this to be a one-off exercise, but we want drama and theater to continue to be a part of our activities. So as the association, we believe that not only for drama activities, but for all our activities, we first enjoy it, have fun, and we make sure that people also have fun. And we also try to provide economic empowerment to women. As a second item, we can say that we're trying to prove that women alone can also achieve certain things. So we're emphasizing gender equality with our activities. And on this picture, you can see that we have proven the fact that things women can do are more than just organizing weddings or family events. So we have proven it to people, and also women can benefit from gender equality and can get engaged in equality efforts. So that was very nice. It was wonderful. We had fun. People who joined us also had fun. We entertained them. We would like to thank you, the Hrant Dink Foundation, as well as the European Union. As women, we can say that it was very nice to be a part of such a project. Thank you so much for your attention as well. If you have any questions, by the way, please write them in the chat box. Thank you so much. Özlem, Ayşe, thank you so much. Now comes the last presentation of today and the second session. We have Emre Tamer, who will take the floor on behalf of People Management Association of Turkey. The floor is yours. And can you please unmute yourself? Thank you. Hello, everyone. I hope you can see my slides now. So, when we started this project, as it was the case for all other projects, it was the beginning of the pandemic. And in our world, which is the business world, in terms of diversity in employment, the pandemic really damaged the sector a lot. Here you see a graph from different countries. It's about the impact of the pandemic on women's employment. Unfortunately, Turkey is doing pretty poorly. And on the diversity side, on the other hand, especially the disadvantaged groups, are mainly working in the informal economy, and as the informal economy cannot benefit from state support, the picture is actually much more grave than what you see here. So business life and structuring it based on diversity was the main theme of our project. Well, the name of the project speaks for itself. It says Together at Work. And it's all about being together, living together, working together, sharing experience in this field, diversity in the labor force, focusing on labor force and creating diversity there, and also creating awareness in HR units to increase their equipment in this field. And this is, of course, the HR letters in Turkish name of the project. So that's what we say. Let's set forth on this journey, and we want along. So why do we work with human resources? Why do we work with HR? Because HR is sort of a bridge between the people working in the company and the company itself. So the HR department follows up on the new trends and the changes in management. And they also support and manage the diversity projects. So not only in big companies, but also in SMEs, the development of HR is very important. Why Peryon, People Management Association of Turkey? Because we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, made a great contribution to diversity sector. And we also have Gedik University supporting us, which also is one of the best universities active in this field in terms of women's empowerment. So we had many activities. Some of them were carried out in the format of exchange of ideas. We had survey and questionnaires that were implemented. We had feedback in our trainings. And then the accumulation of knowledge of Peryon and Gedik University also helped us a lot. And the information and the output of this these activities were joined with our trainings, awareness raising videos, social impact reports, website, mentoring activities, and press coverage. We were able to reach out to many people, more than 4,000 people working in HR departments, 300 of them directly, and 4,000 of them indirectly got the chance to have some information in these fields, and they also now have the chance to develop their companies in the field of diversity. Now, let's talk about two data that came out of the survey, which are very important. On the awareness side, at this point in time, things look very good. Gender diversity and cultural diversity makes a positive impact to working life. Everyone agrees to that. Everybody seems to be thinking that we should have some diversity, but awareness, on the other hand, is not put into life at the same level. So we are losing 50% of the people. So people who say, when recruiting new people, I would prefer people from non-dominant cultures, only 50% is saying that. So yes, we have a certain level of diversity, but we still have a lot of room for progress. We are living in a world that is polarized, not only for Turkey, but for the entire world. This argument holds true. And the biggest problem in that regard is that the same concept is perceived differently by different people. Like Istanbul Convention, people understand different things from Istanbul Convention. People understand different things from the concept of LGBTI people. And then we have the glass ceiling concept. Everyone understands something else from the glass ceiling. So the most important thing is to come to a common understanding on these concepts. In our training activities, we try to explain the concepts to make sure that everybody is on the same page and they understand the same things from these concepts. So what about the solutions? This is one of the best practice examples. Please, I highly recommend you to take a close look at this. These are the women engineers of Turkey. Our aim is to achieve diversity in recruitment, right? So we are recruiting people based on equal terms. No one can pull any strings. And sometimes we have the AI systems coming into play. But in that perfect system, it seems to be always the men who are recruited, especially men above a certain age, because of the education system in Turkey and the structures that help people have experience, put women in a weak position in recruitment. So companies and volunteers need to take action, and in order to achieve diversity in recruiting people, and in order to establish that environment that will help have diversity, we need to have training activities to make sure that people have experience and women will be a part of the game, and they will be trained and prepared for interview process, for instance, for recruitment. So benchmarks and best practices were explained to people, to the attendees in this project, and we wanted them to implement these as well. So in Perion, we now have different youth projects. We frequently try to raise awareness on these topics. And the most important thing is, of course, to take action and be involved in these efforts personally. So let's show some pictures from our events. Of course, our kickoff meeting was done physically, face-to-face. Right after that, we had to go back to our homes. We had many workshops. We provided many trainings, all of them on online platforms. We had animation activities to raise awareness. So in that regard, I would like to thank the European Union indirectly, Hrant Dink Foundation, Gedik University, and all our stakeholders. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank you for this meeting as well. Emre, thank you so much. And this brings us to the end of our session. Before we proceed with the Q&A session, just like we did in the previous session, we want you to share 3 takeaways from this session. What will be the 3 things that you will take away from this session? And all our presenters on screen. So first question is for Nebile. The Prosumer Economy Society, they are thanking you for this presentation. And the question is that women's works in the rural areas, can it be considered as women's labor? If so, can you further elaborate on this? And are you also considering your efforts in that regard as well? Thank you. Thank you. What do we understand from solidarity economy? For those of you who are seeing this concept for the first time ever, let me explain what I understand. It's about exchange, alternative markets, community-based agriculture. That's what I understand from solidarity economy. And my answer to your question can only be a partial answer, because such practices, yes, they are in practice. If you're talking about an economic solidarity only, narrowing down the concept, I think there are some producers, communities that implement this, but in the capitalist system, the exercises or implementations are still not enough or widespread, let's say. So saying women's communities are not sufficiently involved in this also is wrong. We have some examples, different stores. For instance, there are people who are producing soap to go, for instance, or Aziz Nesin Foundation, they also are giving away soap, and they have exchange, barter activities, and community-based agricultural activities are there. Unfortunately, they are not rolled out in the Anatolian geography. They are mainly concentrating on the western part of the country, not in the eastern part. And these are also overall speaking, say that organized women's labor is important because women who are only present inside the households are able to open up to the community for the first time in their lives, maybe in certain sections of the society. Women who are not able to adopt their husband's permissions, thanks to their experience in the cooperative, are able to even travel to other cities. And women to women solidarity is not important in terms of economic elements, but in general, the solidarity is very important because the cooperative efforts might be related to economic issues, but we had so many activities in terms of the trainings and the needs of women, and they are really supporting women. I don't know if they answer your question.
Aslı Hanım asked the question and she thanks you. Moving on to the second question, it is revised actually and sent to Esengül Hanım. Let me read it out for you. Thank you for the presentation. The participant says, if the migrant societies available in your community, do you work with them? Are you trying to raise awareness, working with the refugee or migrant society? Esengül Hanım, this is a question for you. We have a border with Iraq and Iran. And we don't have many people who come from another country come and settle. They refer to come and settle in our place. So that hasn't happened. That's the short answer to this question. Thank you. Then next question from Mehmet Bey to Ayşe and Özlem Hanım regarding their activities. How do you fund, financially support your activities? It's over to you. I think it's out of the grant. Yes, from the grant. We funded the activities out of the grant support. We got great support. Thank you. There is one more question regarding artistic activities. How could you convince the local women to participate in the art activities? Have you faced with social pressure? If so, how did you overcome this difficulty? This question is 100 of them. Well, while conducting these activities, younger people, elder people joined us, younger and elder women. Some were a little bit shy, appearing before the camera, appearing on stage. Some were a little bit shy, but midway through the activities, they were courageous, bold, and they felt they're on equal footing with men. We felt as if we've proven ourselves in the eyes of the society. Some of us dropped out, some joined us. That also happened. Some of them had to drop out because of family pressure. Some husbands didn't like the idea. Some women had to quit. We tried to convince hard. We tried hard. I personally can be acting as a man, and they said, how come I could do this? Yes, I said, this is theater. I will be acting as a man. And we tried hard to convince women, truly, some of them. But we had great fun. This raised our awareness significantly. This was beyond the conception of some of the women. Me acting as a man, it was inconceivable for some of them. Of course, we used makeup, costumes, and we did them by ourselves. We stitched the costumes, we did the makeup ourselves. Yes, there was significant pressure from outside. some men from outside try to underestimate what we're trying to do. But we said, you will be ashamed when you see the result. We will achieve such a good success that you will feel ashamed underestimating our efforts. But I would like to say we're grateful to the Foundation and the EU. This was very helpful to raise awareness regarding gender equality. Yes, there was pressure. Yes, we worked hard to convince some of the women that dropped out. On some occasions, we even had to go to the door, the house of some women to convince them. Yes, we did that many times. But sometimes we couldn't overcome the pressure, like the husband, the children to be taken care of at home. The woman has to stay home. The woman has to go pick the child up from school. Yes, this happened a lot. There was that pressure. And sometimes the women themselves were the source of the pressure. It was not always the men. Some women were thinking, theater is not an appropriate activity for women. It was not gender appropriate, it's not age appropriate, according to some women. Some thought like that. Yes, there was this effort, the convincing effort. We made a lot of efforts. We tried to convince many of them. But once we put the show up on stage, everyone was impressed, including the men. And the audience said they wanted us to stage more shows. That was a success. Even the men were impressed with the play we put up on stage. Thank you, Ayşe Hanım. Thank you for sharing with us this experience. Another question to Emre Bey. The senior leadership of the companies, did you have difficulty to convince them? As long as they don't see the financial results, I think it's hard to convince the leadership of a company to employ such personnel. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was not difficult to convince them because there was high level of awareness regarding the importance of diversity. However, the problem we had was the fact that the practice was not there, the implementation was not there already. The project involves in-depth training sessions, introducing good practices. So the experts, the leadership in the companies went through this process regarding gender equality. So somehow we built a capacity among the leadership and the experts. And in conducting the project, these companies will get support from us. As to the financing part, it's not just on the basis of the companies. By the way, some companies themselves go ahead and work on diversity. They already have some social initiatives. And this is the core of their business. They have clear financial roadmaps. However, one should also consider the fact that Turkey's most important economic problem is maybe low level of female participation in the labor market. Around 10 million people in Turkey are not truly participating in the economy due to the inequality in our economy. If they were a part of the economy, we would have much higher GDP. We would have higher, if we had higher participation to production. This problem impacts the whole economy, not just individual companies. And during the project, we tried to raise awareness regarding these matters too. Emre Bey, thank you so much. One question to Nebile regarding alternative agriculture-based cooperation work. I would like to share any advice. And a link is shared here. Would you like to make any comments? Otherwise, we can send it again to the participants. Let me type my email address here, says the speaker. I haven't had time to go through the content in the link, but why don't we exchange emails? I'd be very happy to be of help to you. Here's my email address. I send it to everyone. Feel free to contact me. Thank you. And there is another question. Özlem Hanım, I'd like to turn to you. Did you raise hand? No. No, okay. I have a question to Emrah Bey. Emrah Bey, thank you for your presentation. Oh, just a second. Yes, to Emrah Bey. Is that okay? Sure. No, I was thinking maybe we should end the session, but that's okay. Please go ahead and ask your question. Well, you introduced some historic works you conducted in 4 countries, including Turkey. You had extensive research. My question regards Turkey. We have the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. What is, have you received support from the ministry? Have you contacted them? Thank you. We haven't worked with the ministry. We did what we did out of our own means. We haven't worked with the Ministry of Culture. Actually, what we did was Kars municipality was a partner in our project. There's Ayhan Bey, co-chair. Also joined us in a feasibility work before a trustee was appointed to the municipality, and we submitted a file to the office. This was about restoration and renovation activities. And you know, the negative atmosphere, there was a disconnect. So we turned to ourselves, we turned to our own means. That's how we did it. We didn't have contact with the ministry. But truly, there is an immense value here, cultural value, and we should create added value out of this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And there is a final question to all of you regarding economic, social empowerment of women. Do you think that was able to create a social transformation, a social change thanks to your projects? Let's take a round to get the answers. Esengül Hanım, let's start with you. And please turn on your mic. I'm sorry for this. Yes, we created, I believe, a positive change. As Nebahat Hanım said, one becomes optimistic when one works with women who have a good view of life, raise good children, and of course, it will influence the society. Nebile? Sure. Yes. I think there was a change we achieved in terms of economic and social aspects. If women are more empowered, they are regarded as an individual in the family, among the friends. And once they're in the public space, out of the house, the woman becomes aware of the good practices. and takes further steps to improve life. That is what I can tell you based on our experience. And I agree with Esengül Hanım about her comment regarding women raising children and influencing the society. Of course, we influence the coming generations. Emre Bey, what is your take on this before we close this session? I want to talk about the practices during the pandemic period. Working from home have become a necessity, and this strained the capacities of women because children do homeschooling these days. And we also had some activities to increase diversity regarding home-based work. We communicated with companies in order to make sure they open up kindergartens or daycare centers to support working women. We just discussed with them what could be done. We introduced good practices. According to ILO reports, we are, unfortunately, we lack 20 years in terms of female participation in labor market. But thanks to our activities, we have been able to create a butterfly effect in order to address these problems, I believe. Thank you very much. Ayşe Hanım, Özlem Hanım, would you like to add something? Yes, I'd like to say something. Well, at the beginning, there was a reaction, not just from men, also from women. And we have been able to eliminate those negative reactions. I'd like to say something else regarding economic freedom, economic independence. We've conducted theater activities. I think thanks to this, women were able to have a more equal footing with men. This is important in terms of social acceptance. We raised awareness thanks to this work. We truly did it. Özlem Hanım, we were not even aware of ourselves before we launched into this adventure. It was always men in the forefront. But thanks to this association, thanks to these activities, we have been able to come to the fore. Now we know what we can achieve. Now we're aware of our capacity. We can do anything men can do in this respect. At the end, the men congratulated us. And it's amazing to receive congratulations like that. Thank you. Thank you all. What a wonderful morning. Well, before we call it a day, I'd like to ask if the speakers of the first session would like to take the floor. If so, you could maybe raise a hand. Nisya Hanım, yes.
So when we were doing verbal history projects, we also took care that there was a man and a woman in the setting. Because you look at cuisine, for example, cultural life, children, through the women's perspective, and I'm talking about the olden times, obviously, and you look at the business life, for example, through a male perspective. So we needed both, and that was really valuable for us. Thank you to the Hrant Dink Foundation for the support in this project. We have about 15,000 Turkish Jews at the moment, and most of us are over 50. Therefore, this is a disappearing community. The aim, one of the aims of the museum is maybe in 100 years, for example, these records, this inventory, these relics that we have in the museum are going to see the Jewish identity that was once here. And that is why we're always collecting information. That is why we're always trying to disseminate information in the museum. So you can also check Müze 500, Quincentennial Foundation Museum of Turkish Jews website as well. You can get subscribed to our newsletter. You can also follow us on our social media accounts. We also have our YouTube account as well. We put our new videos there. So if you are wondering about us, then you can use these platforms and get to know us. Thank you very much. Dilan has her hand raised as well. If you can also take her comments. Many of us have mentioned very important things. We're mostly a female team, as a matter of fact. We have 10 women working together, producing together. That is why the solidarity among ourselves is very important. We care deeply about that as well. In many of our activities, for example, the mapping work, while figuring out the routes, we also figured out female routes, women's routes as well. And that feeling of solidarity is very parallel to sharing that experience, and verbal history in regards of that. That was very important as well, because the women experience is much more based on solidarity, and you have a solidarity that is sort of organically grown there, automatically grown there. And that is why we even attach even more of an importance there. So thinking about the life, the memory, the culture of an area is made more valuable through the history work. And that's very important for us with the mapping work as well. We generally, as a matter of fact, talk about sites from a sort of centered view, and that is why we background a little bit. But for Sur as well, we have checked, for example, how women use their streets, how women use their households. So if you're saying, for example, that Sur is human heritage, then women give it its soul. And that is why it was so important for us. So I just wanted to mention this point as well. Thank you very much. Thank you. Then Emrah Bey, please go on. So, I mean, we haven't worked with women, but we have also selected women as our teammates as well. And in fact, we are to start a project working on women's rights as well. There was a pressure on you from the women, I suppose, Emrah Bey. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you very much for all who participated in the first day of our event. If you could please write the 3 takeaways from this event, that'd be great. We're going to be together tomorrow at 10 again. We're going to speak to the Solidarity Association with Refugees, Punto 21, Independent Journalism, Society and Legal Research Foundation, Turkish Human Rights Foundation, PI Youth Association, Social Rights and Research Association. Thank you very much again for being with us. Thank you to all the CSOs, all the interpreters, and to our team. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow.